Hi, my name is Dina D. Page, and this is Tuesday, May the 19th, 2020. And this is the first audio recording I'm doing for my Conscious Awakening, I guess you could say our meetup group, my YouTube channel, and my Facebook fan page. In the teachings of Eckhart Tolle, sharing his teachings and practices. So I'm going to be doing quite a number of audio recordings because I can make them fast and easy, and they are easy to do. They don't require as much preparation for video. And it's going to be anywhere between a minute and maybe about 4 minutes or so. And this being my first one, I'd like to really talk about how Eckhart talks about the different, that thoughts are really act and behave like entities. They're thought forms, just like our form identity. You can sort of think of all of these categories that I'm going to list down here as being almost another part of you, like a spirit within you, like an angel or a devil within you. All of those can be sort of conceived of as being a different entity or identity or persona. And it's interesting that he makes the analogy that these things reincarnate into form. So it's almost as if, if we have our skeletal system, we have our muscular system, we have the nervous system, and those are things that we can physically see, but maybe we have far, far more different personas or forms that lie dormant, come into place when they're triggered or by other thought forms or feelings collectively trigger each other. So it's kind of an interesting analogy and an interesting concept. So I'm going to list about 10 different things that you can think of as different entities, identities, and personas. And give some time to think about that, because the more that you think about it, the more that it makes a lot of sense. So the first one being our ego, or our self-talk. That's an entity that sort of lies dormant. It comes out whenever it feels like it. It's almost like it has a mind of its own, and it takes over our form. Our victim or victor sense of ego is a perfect example of that, where you can feel like you're the hero or you're put upon, and some people spend their whole life living in this ego state. Certainly all of the emotions are what Buddha would call, and Eckhart would call, our suffering. And there's countless emotions that take over us from time to time. There's an emotional wheel that's available that lists probably at least over 100 different emotions that come into place and then become dormant. And some of these would be something like hurt or anger. Usually when there's anger, hurt is usually seen as the cause behind why we see anger. Something is wrong or missing. Eckhart talks about that all the time, about how people's lives feel that there's something wrong or just not right. He uses that analogy quite often. Something is negative or judgmental, and we feel this negativity that just surfaces within us, just like a thought form, just like a different persona or different ego, a different mental state that takes over us. Clearly, fear is another one. If you see fear cropping up, it's usually not in the response of something that's immediate, which usually is something like a life-threatening situation. Our reflex system kicks into place far faster than any thought form. But fear is something that's that's thought about and ruminated about. And certainly things such as our sexuality and our seductiveness that comes up and it veers its presence and sometimes can take us over, almost like an obsession. And then one of the last ones is certainly our collective thought consciousness, the thing that ties us to the rest of humanity collectively. And that comes up, like I said, just like a different thought form, entity, or persona. So please listen to this again and think about some of the suggestions that I'm making and try to think of these things just like a spirit that sort of takes over you and in many cases controls you. So those are my thoughts on my first audio. Hope you like them.